Welcome to RAs and CTE, Path to Inclusivity. To start our session today, I'd like to show you something. Here we have a diploma from Crashing Falls High School. Let's see. Okay, and this looks very nice, very impressive, wouldn't you say? General Education Diploma. Whitney Saylor is anticipating graduating in June there. Now, take a look at this diploma. Okay, we're going to try it again. Okay, take a look at this diploma. This is from the United States Department of Labor, Office of Apprenticeship. This is a completion diploma also. Now, of the two, the Crashing Falls High School diploma and the United States Department of Labor, which do you think might carry more weight with a potential employer? So both are important, but if you're looking for a position in the skilled trades, probably this one. So this brings us to the topic of today, the title of today's session, which is RAs and CTE, Path to Inclusivity. Here's what's going to happen during the next half hour or so, if all goes well. We'll have an introductory activity, which, by the way, was not showing the diplomas there. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. Then we'll launch into what CTE is and its efficacy, its advantages. Then we'll talk a little bit about registered apprenticeships. And finally, Mary Ellen's recommended videos. So most of the presentation will be focused on building a, shall we say, a culture of CTE in your school, and that will tie in with registered apprenticeships also. So to start, please take a look at this slide, okay? This is based on a survey, a primary research survey that I attempted to do in the summer of 2020. I'd identified 163 archdioceses or dioceses that have at least one high school, one diocesan or parish-affiliated high school. And then I contacted all the diocesan directors of Catholic education and sent a questionnaire to them, which looks kind of like this one. So if you go ahead and take a brief look, see how you'd answer these. So you can go ahead and stop the video, take a look, and then come on back in. Now, if you answered unsure, need more information for each of those items, then you're probably in line with how the diocesan directors of Catholic education felt about this particular survey. I only had one usable response, by the way. That was from the director of Catholic education for the Diocese of Honolulu. Thank you very much, Diocese of Honolulu. One respondent was very honest. She said, Mary Ellen, I have no idea what you're talking about. So a lot of people in our profession may not know that much about career technical ed, registered apprenticeships, and what is offered. So that's what we're going to be looking at for the next half hour or so, however long you want to stay with me here. About my background, I retired 2 years ago from full-time employment in the field of education. I was in education full-time 35 years, and then counting contract work and affiliate work, then it would be 40 years in education, spanning high school to graduate, university graduate. Most of those years are in the area of career and technical education. I have a doctorate degree from the University of Memphis in curriculum and instruction in business education. So a little bit about my background. I am currently a licensed, credentialed speech teacher, economics and vocational education administrator here in the state of Idaho. So enough about my background. If you want to read more about the primary study that I just referenced that I did, I can connect you with the Independent Scholar Journal December issue, because that's where it came out in. But anyway, moving right along, the next topic that we're going to talk about is career and technical education and what our church teaches about the dignity of labor. Now, career and technical ed can apply to just about any profession, actually, but we're going to focus on the skilled trades. But keep in mind, CTE is not just skilled trades. But here we go with the emphasis on going to a four-year university. Well, we need to take a look at that. Now, first of all, the National Catholic Educational Association came out with a list of benchmarks and standards, and there's one that is particularly applicable here, and that would be, let's see, it's not that one. Okay, it would be this one right here. We'll see if it comes up. Nope. There we go. On the dignity of labor. Whoops. Okay, where's that standard? No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Okay. That inclusivity standard 7.2 talks about inclusivity and meeting the needs of all students there. So there it is right there. Academic excellence, benchmark 7.6, engagement of all students in classroom instruction. Notice the emphasis on all students. So when it comes to the skilled trades, we need to keep in mind, first of all, our Lord himself was probably a carpenter. St. Paul was a tent maker. St. Joseph was a carpenter or a home construction builder. Saints Peter, James, John, Andrew, I believe, were all fishermen. Moses was a shepherd. So there is scriptural evidence about the importance and the dignity of working with your hands, manual labor. In addition, we have other scriptural references here. And these come from, let's see, right here. Dignity of labor, Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 23. In add labor, there's profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Boy, someone must have done a lot of talking back then. 1 Thessalonians 2:9. For you recall, brethren, our labor and hardship, how working night and day so as not to be a burden to any of you. So that was St. Paul writing to the Thessalonians. And then Ephesians 4:28. He who steals must steal no longer, but rather he must labor, performing with his own hands what is good. Apparently theft was a problem in Ephesus there. And then in addition, the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Here are two articles from our catechism that talk about the dignity of skilled labor. 24:27 reads, work honors the Creator's gifts and the talents received from him. 24:28, in work, the person exercises and fulfills, in part, the potential inscribed in his nature. The primordial value of labor stems from man himself, its author and its beneficiary. And then more recently, Pope Francis in Laudato Si wrote, quote, Jesus worked with his hands in daily contact with the matter created by God, to which he gave form by his craftsmanship. So we see the dignity of labor. And I would say that universities, I wouldn't say overrated, because my goodness, I spent a lot of my career either as a student or working, as a professor in a university. But I would say that we need to take a look at a different measure of the success of a school system. And this applies to public schools, to private schools, to faith-based schools. That right now, it seems the measure of success is based on how many of your graduating seniors are going on to a 4-year university. That's the measure. Now, the measure should be 5 years down the road from graduation. How many of your former high school seniors are working in a career that they enjoy, that they're able to make a living on, and possibly also a living for a family? And then fifth, I would say another most important criterion is how many of these students are practicing the faith? How many of these graduates are practicing the Catholic faith? So I think we need to move from that thinking of the success of a school system is based on how many we move on to 4-year university to how many students 5 years down the road are actually in a career and out there earning a living and sustaining themselves. So with that in mind, okay, we can't always be encouraging students, automatically channeling them into a 4-year university if that's not best for them. And this brings up something that happened to me when I was an assistant professor at Stephen F. Austin State University, Nacogdoches, Texas. I loved SFA, it was great. But I was an advisor to freshman business students, a number of them. So I had a freshman advisee come in, and I asked him why he had chosen general business as his major. His response was, Dr. Murray, I just want to drive truck. I just want to drive truck. So I advised this young man to finish out the semester at SFA, get good grades, and apply for the professional truck driving program at the local community college. He wants to drive truck. So what he did was follow my advice, one of the few students I had who did, and he enrolled in professional truck driving, got several endorsements, and had a happy life driving truck. So this ties in with the next part of our program today, and that is talking about career technical education in general. And then we'll talk about how to establish a CTE culture, you might say. So, misconceptions, first of all, about CTE. That first of all, actually I have 3 to share with you. First of all, misconception number 1, it's only for students with academic challenges. Only for students with academic challenges. Not true. If you've ever sat in on a precision machining course at your local technical high school, you'll see that these students are actually using trig. And I did that at our local career center here, Gerald Dennis Technical Career Center. And the students freaked out when I told them, oh, you're using trig. That's very fascinating. And it was like, oh, I'm not using trig. I don't know anything about trig. Well, it turned out they were using it. So it's not, CTE isn't solely for your academically challenged students, although it can be a benefit to those students who are not, I wouldn't say able to obtain a 4-year degree, but it's just not in their best career plan to do that. And I'd share with you too that something that happened to me, it was a conversation that I had with a local parent. And we were talking about the opportunities that are available at the local Gerald Dennis Technical High School. And this parent admitted, there's some good programs there. That sounds like a really good opportunity for students. And I presented her with this scenario. Okay, your daughter, she's a sophomore in high school, and she comes home one afternoon and says, Mom, I'd like to enroll in the 2-year auto tech program at Gerald Dennis. And this mom's reaction was, oh, no, not my kid, not my kid. I said, but you just said that these are good opportunities for students, right? No, not my kid, not my kid. That thinking that CTE is always for someone else's kid. So misconceptions there that for someone else's kids, maybe your own son might graduate, might best to be served. Okay, misconception number 2 is you don't make enough money in the skilled trades. Well, let me share this with you. Average salaries in skilled trades nationwide, and by the way, the figures that I quote come from primarily the U.S. Department of Labor and also the National Center for Education Statistics. So that's where these numbers come from. First of all, a plumber, average salary, $29 an hour. And here in Boise, it's a little less, $27 an hour. Dental assistants earn $36,660 annually. Electricians, $60,000 annually. Machinists, $47,000. Now, and if you're a plumber in Wisconsin, wow, $60,000 annually. And while this may not sound like a lot of money, we have to keep in mind that these students enter the workforce anywhere from 2 to 4 years before their peers who are in the 4-year university. And now this is according to Forbes magazine, okay? The average student loan debt in the United States is $29,950. So these students are already starting with a account against them right there. Now, if you live in Delaware, wow, Delaware has the highest student debt in the nation at $39,000. Utah, your students have the least at $18,000. So student debt. And then second of all, time to complete degrees or earn your credentials. Now, this comes from the National Center for Education Statistics. Only 56% of university students earn bachelor's degrees in 6 years or less. Only 56%. The average now is 6 years. So, in fact, one of our local universities had a 4-in-4 promotion, 4-year degree within 4 years. They finally had to give up on the idea. It just didn't work. So these students, CTE students, typically enter the workforce with very little, if any, student debt, and also a couple years ahead of their peers when it comes to earning power. So continuing on, the efficacy of CTE. Now, how do you establish, shall we say, a CTE culture at your school? Is this maybe something very new? And by the way, if you're thinking, well, our students who are interested in CTE go to the local technical high school, so they go there. That's a very good thing. That's a very good thing. But what do you do at your school to promote that and to recognize these students for the decisions that they've made? So let's take a look at, okay, how you might set up a career tech program, shall we say. And this is a handout that you should have. It's called Crashing Falls Catholic Central High School Career Prep. So we've established the dignity of labor, the advantages of CTE. Now, how do we go about promoting that in a school or diocese, which probably has not to this extent? And don't feel badly because public schools don't promote CTE that much either. So here we go. And these are steps that I would identify. And once again, if you read the literature, you might see that Mary Ellen's going in a little bit different direction. But this is based on 40 years of experience. And also, I did a second primary research study this past year. And so some of this is based on the results from that. So the first step, you have to have people on board. Your leadership has to be on board. Okay, but before you do this, I'd recommend step number 2, actually, I would do that first. If you go to the link that's there, given there from the University of Nevada, Reno, Dr. McMurray completed this study in 2020, I believe, so it's very recent. And it has to do with the attitudes of public school principals, counselors, teachers, their attitudes and opinions towards CTE. And one can assume that these attitudes would also be pretty much the same, mirrored in our Catholic schools. So take a look at Dr. McMurray's study, see what you're up against at first. Now, when it comes to promoting CTE and establishing, say, a career prep program that would be on a parallel with college prep program, what do you do if you're new? How persuasive can you be? That's why I would suggest step number 3, setting up a Zoom meeting with your state's director of career and technical ed. This person, this expert, can delineate for your education leadership reasons why you would want to encourage students to consider CTE in your archdiocese, diocese, or school. Rest assured, these people know their craft, they're experts, and they're very good sellers, shall we say. I'm thinking of Dr. Christy Engler here in the state of Idaho. So once you have someone, your leadership on board, or at least amenable to a discussion, then you go on to career fairs. Career fairs, lots of schools have these. Consider inviting local skilled tradespeople. Now, where do you find these people? Well, you can find their names from those who advertise in your parish bulletin, your parents' information sheets, if any of them are in the skilled trades. And also check with your parish office to find out who are the skilled tradespersons for the skill or parish, for the parish or school. For example, when there is a flood in the parish hall basement, which is happening in ours, who's the on-call plumber? Who do you call? So that's where you can get names of skilled local skilled tradespeople. When you have your career fair, often these are in the afternoon or evening, encourage parents to come with their student. For this to be successful, parents must come with their student. And when parents find out about how much college is going to cost compared with how much an apprenticeship in welding is going to cost, parents' eyes are going to go like that. Wow, really? You mean my daughter can learn welding and she doesn't have to pay for it? It's like, well, yes, we offer a registered apprenticeship. So that gets parents' attention. When they see dollar signs, they tend to pay attention. So it's important that parents come. Then the next step, college nights. What school system doesn't have a college night? So for college night, invite your skilled tradespeople to college night, especially those who offer registered apprenticeships. And your local Department of Labor may be able to help you locate other skilled craftsperson in your region or area who offer registered apprenticeships. Local labor unions, contact them also. I'm thinking the IBEW here in Idaho, International Brotherhood Electrical Workers. Yeah. Now, here's the scene. Have your skilled tradespeople set up their tables next to those of the college university representatives or in between. Now, here's the problem. Your college representatives will have very nice decorated booths, tables. Your skilled tradespeople will not. So ask your local Department of Labor if they have any career posters, eye-catching posters that your craftspeople can use for their tables. And I've also attached a link listed on this handout to a website that offers nice free CTE posters. Encourage your skilled tradespeople to wear business casual clothing, polo shirts and dockers. No one is going to expect your local electrician to wear a three-piece suit. So they don't have to mimic what the college representatives are doing. Then once you've done that, the next step is to see if your students are interested. So some manuals would say, well, do the interest inventories first. The reason I put it here is because without the college fairs, without the skilled trades fairs, students might not know what they're interested in. They don't know what's out there. So here are 3 different interest inventories that your students can take. Perhaps you already use them. The ONET interest inventory is free. It's one of the most well-known in the CTE world. And ONET comes from the U.S. Department of Labor. Then you have the Myers-Briggs Strong Interest Inventory. I think it's free online, but this assessment doesn't focus on the skilled trades in particular. And then finally, the Career One-Stop Interest Assessment is also free. And I don't have, excuse me, a link for that one, but you can just Google Career One-Stop Interest Assessment and it comes up. Now, here's a hint. When your students are looking at these interest inventories, make sure that you're available to kind of supervise, because otherwise, sometimes students come up with weird answers, weird occupations. For example, when I took the ONET interest inventory, turned out one time that I should either have been a funeral home director or a circus performer. So obviously I didn't go into either of those. Education didn't come up, but yet I'd been a happy, somewhat successful, I think, educator for 40 years. So that's why it's important for you to be there to help lend a touch of realism, because sometimes the results are based on how you feel that day, you know? So the next step then, after the interest inventory, set up an advisory committee. And your diocese, archdiocese, school might already have one. But do you have any skilled tradespeople on that committee? So invite skilled tradespeople. Now, here's the hint. With skilled tradespeople, take seriously any input that they provide. No better way to discourage input from trades and industry than to invite them to, say, a yearly event, a yearly meeting. They give input regarding, here's what I need from employees in my field. Here's what I need. And then you never act on that. So take seriously any input that your skilled tradespeople offer. And then the next step is local, again, career technical education promotion within your school. And I mentioned about the link to the trade posters. There it is right there. Now promote it on your school website and your school Facebook page. And I'm going to give an example of Pacelli Catholic High School, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I do have permission from Pacelli staff to talk about them. Okay, with just one click on their academics tab. Okay, let me see if I can bring it up here. There we go. With just one click, there's their website right there. That, let's see if it's going to share. Yes. Oh. Okay, let's do share screen and bring it back up again. Okay, there we go. There's the website. Forget about the stuff on the other side there. But when you go to Pacelli's launch page, you just click on academics right there, and up comes their academics page, and there's a link right there to youth apprenticeships. I didn't have to dig down, through 5 layers of information to find what I needed. So make sure that you promote it on your school website. And then in contrast, I visited the website of a high school that I know has a memorandum of understanding with the local education district. After 5 clicks though at their website, I give up trying to find that information. Oh, and by the way, I need to preface this too, that check with your diocese, archdiocese, school principal to see what sort of memorandum of understanding you have with the local school district. That if the local school district assumes that they want to do all CTE, then you have to honor that. So then establishing a CTE program of study, CTE program of study. And this would be similar to what we call a sequence of courses here. Let's call it sequence of courses. There we go. You'll see it's similar to college prep. So just like we have a college prep track or sequence of courses, you set up one for CTE. And you'll notice religion, math. Here we have English, college prep sequence, science there, biology, chemistry, physics, foreign language, highly recommended in the trades, especially if your school offers Spanish. Technology, intro to computing, your computing software. Also, if you offer CAD, that's a big one in many of the skilled trades. And then let's see, here is in addition, your business courses right there. Accounting, database, especially if you have students who are looking to be professional truck drivers. They want to earn a CDL. They may not know it, but the Qualcomm system that many large trucking companies use to track their mileage is a database. Don't tell them they're using a database though. Business communication is a big one, being able to talk with customers, clients, and so on, and with your boss, which in the prison system was sometimes difficult. Okay, and then finally, career readiness, the interest inventories, co-op education, as we called it, work experience, even if it's in an area that doesn't tie in with the student's career plans, that student is still getting valuable work experience. And then a second component of that, in addition to those sequences, is soft skills and documentation of soft skills. Now, let's see, bring it up again. Okay. Soft skills. Because one Idaho employer shared with me that, Dr. Nurse, I can teach the students the skills they need for my workplace. I can teach them that. I can't teach them how to get to work on time and how to give me an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. So that's where soft skills come in, very important. And you start documenting students' soft skills in these areas in their freshman year. Now, these are soft skills that are important to Idaho employers. Your state probably has something similar to this. And that's where you would contact your state's Department of Labor and just ask them if any studies have been done or if they have any documentation about the soft skills that employers in your state are looking for. Now, what does this look like, though, when you document it? And this right here, this screen is based on an instrument that I devised when I was with the Idaho Department of Correction. By the way, I was in corrections education for 21 years before I retired. Now, remember, please keep in mind, this is designed for offenders. And this is a checklist that the offenders had for their in-house work assignments. And you can see avoids F word. That probably isn't going to be a concern for your students, but it certainly was for ours. Avoids SHIT, once again, a concern for our students, probably not for yours. And then some other. So the employer, then the supervisor, just basically checks it off. And there was a date. So it'd be this type of checklist that you would want to develop. And now that's establishing, shall we say, a culture, CTE, a CTE program of study. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't use programs of study, because in some states, POS actually designates a state-directed program of study in CTE. So, excuse me for using that term. Now, the next step then is registered apprenticeships, And here are steps that, once again, this is Dr. Nurse's recommendation in how to go about setting up a registered apprenticeship. And okay, here we go. Okay, first of all, find out what they are. With a registered apprenticeship, the apprentice has two components that are completed. The one is called, well, the hands-on, the skills part. And then the second is called related instruction. And this is a program set up by the U.S. Department of Labor. And it's very well delineated as to for what particular career you need X number of hours on the job training and X number of hours of related instruction. For example, the registered apprenticeship that I set up when I was at South Idaho Correctional was for a teacher aide. And we had two students who were interested in that. And based on their convictions, if they were to get out on parole, they would be able to get a job in that field as a teacher's aide. As you can guess, some of our students would not be able to be employed in that. But anyway, so these two ladies would be able to. And it was, I believe, 2,000 hours of on-the-job experience, OJT, as a teacher aide, and a couple hundred hours of related instruction. The related instruction came from me. It was a series of workshops that our ABE teacher had done at South Idaho Correctional. And then the subject matter expert or the journey worker, oftentimes it has to be a journey worker. I was that in this case. So steps. Okay. Establish your archdiocesan or school CTE program first, and you can follow along here. Become acquainted with registered apprenticeships in general. There are over 2,000 apprenticeable occupations, and you might have some fun reading. Take a look at what some of those are, ranging from beekeeper to elevator repair person, and so on. There's a lot out there. Then become acquainted with how registered apprenticeships work. And the United States Department of Labor has a 4-page brochure, which provides a very quick and colorful overview of what you're looking at. And the URL is listed in your handout there that you will get. And then as a next step, now this is just becoming acquainted with how RAs work. Take a look at how registered apprenticeships are encouraged in Catholic schools in Canada. The Greater St. Albert Catholic Schools website is worth a look. And there it is. Now, Pacelli Catholic Schools that I mentioned previously are part of the Wisconsin Youth Apprenticeship Program. So I give an information link there on the handout. Then before you proceed, okay, I would check, as I alluded to earlier, to see if your diocese, archdiocese school has a memorandum of understanding with the local education district that a number of career technical centers, career technical high schools, do offer registered apprenticeship or pass to registered apprenticeships programs. So you want to make sure that what you're doing isn't going to impact your relationship with the local education district if you do have one. So continuing on, assuming that you do want to follow this path, get in touch with your state's Department of Labor again. And if a different government agency handles registered apprenticeships in your state, because some states it's under, for example, the Governor's Workforce Development Council. If it is, then your local Department of Labor can point you in that direction. And then your Department of Labor can also help you with step 5. Okay. There we go. Which is to locate potential skilled tradespersons. Now, actually, you probably have already done this. You set up that CTE program. But your local Department of Labor can also tell you if any of these folks are serious about hiring. And then I put, since people working the skilled trades may have busy work schedules, don't be concerned about spending a lot of time with that employee the employer by selling your idea for a registered apprenticeship. Many people in the skilled trades went through apprenticeship themselves. So they know what it's like. They know the benefits of a registered apprenticeship, and they're probably going to be on board anyway. But I would say just have several bullet points ready to present, such as students at your Catholic school have positive attitudes, they show up for class on time, and so on. Then, after you locate a potential employer, because a registered apprenticeship or a path to registered apprenticeship, in this case, what we're looking at, you must have an employer on board. You must have that work component. Okay, so after you locate a potential employer, set up an appointment for both of you to meet with whatever agency, local agency oversees registered apprenticeships. Because this local agency can be a blessing to you when it comes to setting up an actual registered apprenticeship program. So let me show you what it looks like. Okay, here is Apprenticeship USA, and here's where you can find out about the different occupations. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then you will be filling out what's called a standards of apprenticeship. And let's see if I can bring it up here. Standard of apprenticeship. Okay, there it is. This document is about 25 pages. It can be very daunting, but your Department of Labor people can do a lot of that work for you. They'll help you through it. And this is what the table of contents looks like. Now, it's very small print, but you can guess, oh my word, all that goes into standards of apprenticeship. Oh, I have to do all that? And the answer is yes. But think of it as a doctoral dissertation, okay? That the thought of writing an entire dissertation can drive you nuts. You take it piece by piece by piece by piece, and eventually you have the whole. So once again, you don't want to be daunted by this. Department of Labor staff can be very helpful in assisting and can cut through a lot of the red tape for you. Then, if you want steps in setting up a CTE path to registered apprenticeship program, if you want this handout, then please contact me. And there is my phone right there, and my email, and also the NCEA has my contact information, because I know what happens when we go to professional, conferences, conventions, and you attend a session, the speaker's great ideas. Oh, I want to do this at my school. And so it's Monday morning, you're back at your school, you try to implement what you learned over the weekend, and things go, it just doesn't work. So that's why if you send me an email, give me a call, I'll be glad to work with you and go into more detail. One of the advantages of being retired is that I have time to do that. So once again, you are not alone. I am here to assist. So in summary, we did the introductory activity, told you about my background. We talked about CTE and how to establish a CTE program or sequence of courses. Talked a little bit about registered apprenticeships. I wish I had more time. And then finally, I did promise you CTE videos. And these are the three that I recommend in conclusion. That especially after you've had a day at a convention, a conference, and you want to kind of assimilate all that information that you learn. Okay, here we have the two. Arizona weather map goes crazy. Ripple the dog doesn't care about the weather forecast. These are two of the funniest videos I have ever seen. So with that, I'll sign off. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon and allowing me the honor of being an online on-demand presenter for the National Catholic Educational Association Convention. It's my first time ever addressing a non-public audience. So thank you very much.